Welcome to News9 Mediaverse, and you are watching On Point with me. The row over Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar's mimicry has become serious, and this comes in midst of a serious deadlock between the opposition and the government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke with Jagdeep Dhankhar. Dhankhar, who is also the chairman of Rajya Sabha, said that he will not allow the dignity of the House to be lowered. And on this issue, I am joined by former Union Minister Prakash Javadekar. But before I go to him, let me play out the bite of the Vice President of India first.
आपको अंदाजा होना चाहिए कि यदि अगर कोई व्यक्ति वीडियोग्राफी कर आनंद लेता है, एम्पलीफाई करता है, ये संस्कार है क्या अपने? नहीं, ये संस्कार है क्या? यहां तक इस तरह आ गया क्या? सर, ये है दिग्विजय सिंह जी, मेरी बात सुन लीजिए। जगदीप धनखड़ की कितनी बेइज्जती करो, मुझे कोई चिंता नहीं है। भारत के उपराष्ट्रपति की, किसान समाज की, मेरे वर्ग की मैं पूरी आहुति दे दूंगा हवन में। मैं खुद की परवाह नहीं करता। मेरी बेइज्जती कोई करता है, मैं सहन करता हूं, खून की घूंट पीता हूं, पर मैं ये बर्दाश्त कभी नहीं करूंगा कि मेरे पद की गरिमा मैं सुरक्षित नहीं रख पाया। इस सदन की गरिमा को सुरक्षित रखना मेरा काम है, इस पद की गरिमा रखना मेरा काम है। आप अंदाजा नहीं लगा सकते क्या हुआ है? नहीं, आप अंदाजा नहीं लगा सकते। सर, मैं आपकी सुनता, आप एक फोन उठाते और मेरे से कहते, अपने बीच में फोन में वार्तालाप दशकों तक होता रहा है। इतनी बड़ी घटना हो गई, पद की गरिमा गिर गई, किसान समाज को बेइज्जत कर दिया, मेरी जाति को अपमानित कर दिया, और आप चुप हैं।
And on this, I am joined by former Union Minister Prakash Javadekar, who has not only handled Parliament, but has served in various capacities within Bharatiya Janata Party and in the government. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. A very warm welcome to you on my show, On Point, Javadekar ji. My first question to you is that how do you see this mimicry row? The chairman, Rajya Sabha, Jagdeep Dhankhar, seems to be very upset. He says that his community got insulted, his position got insulted, and this is unparliamentary.
See, this is not about one individual instance. What happened after the parliament attack? It was an attack in a way because they jumped in and they had carried canister, so they blew it. But this could have been anything else. So on the exact day of first parliament attack, on 13th December, they chose this. It's not Sanyog. It's not Yoga, it's Prayog. And what it is, it points to a very sinister design. And therefore, first, after the attack or after this jumping in of two bays and the organized, whatever they organized it was an organized attempt. They burned their phones. So it's a clear conspiracy. So in this conspiracy, what opposition would have done it? I remember when Atalji was the Prime Minister and this attack happened, all leaders came to his chamber and said that we are expressed their solidarity with the government. Here, this is not the case. The blame game started immediately, and they started blame game with statement. The other statement was given by Lok Sabha Speaker because it is his security regime. And he said it that the inquiry is immediately on police also and others also help will be taken. But this is how things are moving. So let conclude the evidence, conclude the investigation. We will get to know what has happened, who was behind it. But they started immediately blame game. होम मिनिस्टर सदन में आओ, होम मिनिस्टर सदन में आओ. अच्छा, होम मिनिस्टर सदन में आते तो क्या सुन लेते? फिर कहते प्रधानमंत्री सदन में आओ, प्रधानमंत्री सदन में आओ. प्रधानमंत्री आने पर सुन थोड़े ही लेते. ये डेस्परेट लॉट है. ये 24 के चुनाव का एहसास जिनको हो गया है, ये डर नहीं है, अब तो एहसास है. और एहसास के कारण ये इस तरह की रिएक्शन दे रहे हैं. अब ये बाहर बैठे, पहले तो नॉइज किया, शोरगुल करते रहे ऐसे गंभीर विषय पर भी, और फिर बाहर जब एक्सपेल्ड हुए तो बैठे, धरना किया, यहां तक समझता है. लेकिन धरने में मिमिक्री करते हो आप. वो अपने पार्टी की जो प्रमुख है उसकी करेंगे क्या? कांग्रेस वाले राहुल गांधी शूटिंग कर रहे अपने पार्टी की.
प्रकाश जी, आपने तो ये मंत्रालय चलाया भी है. प्रकाश जी, मंत्रालय चलाया भी है, क्या ये अनपार्लियामेंट्री है? संसद के प्रांगण में क्या ये अनपार्लियामेंट्री है?
ये इस तरह से मिमिक्री करना, अपमान करना, घोर अपमान करना. और ये बाहर देखो, पार्लियामेंट में जो बोला जाता है वो है, लेकिन पार्लियामेंट कैंपस में आप कैसे बिहेव करते हो, ये भी कंडक्ट का मामला है. और दूसरा एक महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है कि ये उन्होंने वीडियोग्राफी की खुद राहुल ने. अब वो कांग्रेस का सबसे प्रमुख नेता, अध्यक्ष है खड़गे जी, लेकिन कांग्रेस के नेता कौन? राहुल गांधी. तो राहुल गांधी खुद शूटिंग करेंगे और मजाक करने के लिए सब जगह भेजेंगे. तो ये अपमान नहीं तो क्या है? ये इनके मन में लोकतंत्र के लिए, संविधान के लिए, संवैधानिक पद पर बैठे लोगों के लिए. और ये देखो, राष्ट्रपति का भी कैसा अपमान किया पहले से, वो आदिवासी समाज से आती है. प्रधानमंत्री का 20 साल इन्होंने अपमान किया, ओबीसी समाज से आते हैं. अब जाट समाज के ये धनकर जी है तो इनका अपमान कर रहे. तो इनको खुद के बिना कुछ नहीं दिखता एक परिवार.
प्रकाश जी, आपने एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात बोली. आप कह रहे हैं कि सदन के अंदर और सदन के प्रांगण में अगर इस तरह की घटनाएं होती वो एक है, मतलब पार्लियामेंट्री डिग्निटी एंड द ब्रीच ऑफ द कंडक्ट इज सेम inside the house and within the perimeter of the parliamentary courtyard. आप ये कह रहे हैं?
There are rules, yes. Outside the parliament complex, that's a different rules. Here, you are supposed to behave in a particular manner. It's a serious business, Baba. It is not a. This is not a joke. This is not a funfair of the college.
लेकिन आपके हिसाब से प्रकाश जी, इतना ज्यादा मनमुटाव क्यों हो गया? आप भी कई साल संसद में रहे, आप भी कई साल पार्टी के बड़े पदों पे रहे. इतना मनमुटाव हो गया कि मतलब एक तरफ संसद नहीं चल रही है, दूसरी तरफ लगभग 90 से ज्यादा एमपी सस्पेंडेड हैं, बाहर हैं.
नहीं, मनमुटाव का कारण क्या है? जिस तरह से गाली गलौज, क्योंकि इनके पास मुद्दा नहीं है. जब पूरी चर्चा हुई इस अधिवेशन में भी बिलों पर, तो क्या इनकी आर्थिक स्थिति पर बिल आया, उसका पूरी चर्चा हुई. आर्थिक स्थिति पर चर्चा इन्होंने मांगी, पूरी हुई, सभी बोले, 2 दिन बोले, निर्मला जी के एक उत्तर में खत्म हो गए. तो ये उनको मालूम है कि चर्चा का कोई मतलब नहीं है, क्योंकि चर्चा करके उनके पास कोई मुद्दे नहीं है. देश बदल गया है, देश सुधर रहा है, आम आदमी महसूस कर रहा है, इसलिए रन लगाते हैं. तो ये इसलिए ये आक्रोश है, पर ये पराजय का एहसास है.
ठीक है, ये इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं प्रकाश जी की, बहुत बढ़िया जीती भारतीय जनता पार्टी. लेकिन ये जो विपक्ष का आरोप है, ये 2 सवाल है, मैं चाहूंगा आप इन पे जरूर बोलें. विपक्ष का कहना है कि जब गृह मंत्री एक टीवी इंटरव्यू में बोल सकते हैं, प्रधानमंत्री जी का एक बयान बाहर आ सकता है, तो वही चीजें सदन में क्यों नहीं बोली जा सकती?
अरे लेकिन मैं उल्टा पूछता हूं कि ये जिस समय ये ऐसा हादसा हो गया, जैसा अटैक एक तरह से हो गया पार्लियामेंट पर, तो एक बड़ी सुरक्षा की ये गलती सामने आ गई. तो तुरंत ये संकट समझ के कि इसके पीछे कौन हो सकता है, ये समझकर तुरंत उनको प्रधानमंत्री को मिल सकते थे और कह सकते थे कि हम सरकार, या सदन में कह सकते थे कि हम सरकार के साथ है और सरकार इसकी जांच करके पूरा बताइए बाद में, तो कौन मना करता। और यही सभापति ने कहा था, लेकिन ये कुछ मानने को तैयार नहीं। अब सभापति की सिक्योरिटी कंपाउंड में चलती है, तो वो उसकी व्यवस्था के प्रमुख है।
ओके, आपको लगता है प्रकाश जी की धनखड़ जी चाहें तो अनुशासनात्मक कार्रवाई कर सकते हैं, इसमें डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन हो सकता है?
नहीं, ये पहले तो डिसिप्लिन की एक्शन हो ही गई है ना, उनको एक्सपेल किया है, तो क्या है।
लेकिन जो मिमिक्री वाला इशू है,
जो मिमिक्री वाले भी एक ये किया ही है, एक्सपेल किया ही है, और पहले एक केवल राहुल जी ने जो किया, तो इसका क्या मतलब है? आप क्या स्तर की राजनीति करना चाहते हो? जिस तरह की भाषा बोलते हो प्रधानमंत्री के लिए, बाकी किसी के लिए, हम कभी नहीं करते। हम राहुल जी बोलते, लेकिन वो कभी कुछ भी बोलते जाते हैं। अब इसके बीच में भी उनके जो फेवरेट आरोप है, जो नहीं चले, वो भी बोलते हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सब खारिज किया, वो भी बोलते रहते हैं। तो रट लगाने से प्रचार नहीं होता, रट लगाने से सच्चाई साबित ऐसी नहीं होती। सच है वो रहेगा, जीतेगा, और ऐसी रट लगाकर बोला हुआ झूठ परास्त होगा।
लेकिन कई लोग तो ये भी कहते हैं प्रकाश जी कि इस पूरे के पूरे 48 घंटे के डेवलपमेंट में भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने किसान आंदोलन का तोड़ निकाल लिया। उन्होंने एक ऐसी बात बोल दी धनखड़ साहब ने कि उसकी तो अपनी राजनीतिक जिंदगी होगी, सदन खत्म हो जाएगा ये सेशन, लेकिन वो पॉलिटिकली एक्टिव इशू तो रहेगा। प्रकाश जी,
नहीं तो ये देखो, मैं ये नहीं समझता, इतने स्वार्थी बुद्धि से हम नहीं काम करते। हम, ये संविधान का अपमान है ना। संवैधानिक पद पर बैठे राष्ट्रपति का कितना अपमान किया, प्रधानमंत्री का अपमान किया। अभी प्रधानमंत्री होते हुए भी जिस तरह से अपमानित भाषा करते, गाली गलौज करते हैं, तो यही तो इनकी फितरत है। तो यही कहना है भाई साहब, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
नहीं, एक सवाल और ऐसे जाने नहीं दूंगा प्रकाश जी, आखिरी सवाल, लेकिन संसद फिर कैसे चलेगी? आपने भी इस प्रणाली में काम किया है। वो जेटली जी कहते थे ना कि ऑपोजिशन मस्ट हैव अ से एंड द गवर्नमेंट मस्ट हैव इट्स वे, तो कैसे होगा ये?
वे देना नहीं चाहते, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, वो वेल में आकर वे नहीं दे रहे, वो वेल में आकर खड़े रहते हैं, वो प्लेकार्ड्स लेकर खड़े रहते हैं। तो ये कोई वे देने का मार्ग नहीं है ना। गवर्नमेंट विल हैव वे, नो, देयर इज नो वे बिसाइड्स ड्राइविंग देम आउट ओनली बिकॉज tomorrow there is a debate on 3. If they want to really do something, they can, but they don't have that. They don't want this to happen. They want to bring politics to this level. That is my final opinion.
Thank you so much, Prakash ji, for joining me on my show On Point. So, Prakash Javadekar, former union minister who served as the chief spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, says that it is a matter of parliamentary propriety. But then the opposition says that the propriety should extend to every political member of the house, cutting across political parties, and if the rules are to be applied, then action would have taken on those who are part of the treasury benches also. And the second point here is that if so many MPs are out, how will parliament function without an opposition? Because then it requires representation of those who have voted against the government, and that's the kernel of our democratic system. But it's time for a short break. Do not go away. I will be back with more guests on this debate on the Dhankhar Mimicry row and more than 90 members of parliament who have been suspended.
Jyotiraditya Scindia is also facing a litmus test.
There have been corruption charges against all the chief ministers or towering leaders who were rich, but this is not the case with Scindia. So the point is that in modern times, when the society is looking up to good leaders, so Jyotiraditya Scindia could be one of them.
As far as Jyotiraditya Scindia is concerned, even if the BJP loses, Jyotiraditya Scindia will be around for at least another 2 decades. He is young and he has the ability to come back.
This and more streaming now on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
So, if you have seen the last 48 hours in the parliament, you have a mimicry row in which the chairman of Rajya Sabha has clearly said that it's about his community, it's about the honor of his position, and the fact that opposition has been cavalier in nature. Opposition, on the other hand, says that the government has been partisan with them, unfair with them. So now, let us listen to Kalyan Banerjee and Rahul Gandhi, as we had heard the Vice President, the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, Jagdeep Dhankhar, earlier. Let's listen to them.
Nearly 130 members of parliaments have been suspended. And this is a mockery of the democracy. Protest was going on. It is a part of the protest. Mimicry is not unknown to anywhere. But I didn't have any intention at all to hurt or disrespect any person, including the Honorable Vice President. He also belongs to my profession. He is senior to me, as senior advocate also. He was our ex-governor also. There are on some issues, some difference of opinions were there. That's a different thing. But it was no intention at all to disrespect any person, any post. I never watched the Rajya Sabha proceeding, Rajya Sabha TV also. If it has been taken, the Honorable Vice President has taken on his shoulder. I didn't have any intention to hurt him at all. I have great respect to all constitutional posts. Mimicry is not a new thing. You have seen also earlier, our Honorable Prime Minister also done same thing in the House itself during the 2014 to 2019. It's not an offence. It is not. Now they are trying to change the issue itself. Today's issue is whether these 133% member of parliaments have been suspended correctly or not. Issue is it not a mockery of democracy? Issue is this.
Did you apologize to BP, sir?
Whatever I have said already. I did not want to hurt anyone's mind. I have great respect to everyone. I am having a respect also to the Honorable Vice President, Honorable President, each and every one, all the who are holding the constitutional post. There are some protests of the opposition would be there. Mimicry is not an offence at all. Mimicry is done. It is not an offence at all. If anyone is hurt, I did not have any intention to hurt anyone.
MPs बैठे हुए थे, मैंने उनका वीडियो लिया, मेरा वीडियो मेरे फोन पे है, मीडिया दिखा रहा है, मीडिया कह रहा है, मोदी जी कह रहे हैं, किसी ने कुछ कहा ही नहीं है, अपनी कास्ट के लिए है सर, किसी ने कुछ नहीं वहां पे किसानों का देखिए, नहीं सुनिए, देखिए वहां पे हमारे 150 एमपीज को बाहर फेंक दिया है, ठीक है, उसके बारे में मीडिया में कोई चर्चा नहीं हो रही है, ठीक है, उनको आपने पार्लियामेंट से बाहर उठा के फेंक दिया, उसकी कोई चर्चा नहीं हो रही है, अदानी जी पे कोई चर्चा नहीं हो रही है, राफेल पे फ्रांस ने कहा है कि भैया इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं अलाउ हो रहा, उस पर कोई चर्चा नहीं हो रही है, बेरोजगारी पे कोई चर्चा नहीं हो रही है, हमारे एमपीज वहां पे दुखी हैं, बाहर बैठे हुए हैं, उन पे आप चर्चा कर रहे हो.
And now I'm joined by Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst, Shyam Prasad Bekha and Bhanu Chandra Nagarajan. Thank you all of you for joining me. But Amitabh, first to you. Amitabh, last 24 hours, 48 hours, now the chairman says it's a matter of community, it's a matter of dignity, and the fact that, this mimicry has really hurt him because it hurts the chair which he occupies, it's not about him. Do you find this really unusual? Because if you recall, Mamata Banerjee threw papers when Somnath Chatterjee was on the chair.
Yeah, so essentially, of course, he occupies a constitutional post. So, as we discussed a few days ago, this has gone a bit too far. But I would say him making it also an issue about an insult of his community, etc., is also taking it a bit too far because that is getting into the political realm, correct? Because he is the vice president of India. I mean, the caste and the creed which he comes to or belongs to is secondary. So, of course, we've seen in the past 9, 10 years that there's a lot of polarization even in the parliament amongst politicians, and accommodative politics has gone for a toss. So this is a result of all these things. The MP has apologized. I think it should be taken in jest and we should move forward because many important bills are lined up for discussion. I read somewhere that the telecommunication bill has been passed. Also, it seems such an important bill which gives significant powers to the government has been passed without many MPs being in the parliament and perhaps without not much significant discussion as it would have warranted. So now I think senior leaders or parliamentarians from both sides need to come sit and discuss. Otherwise, this session is anyways going to be a washout, and the next vote on account or the budget could see similar tensions between the two blocks, which
Okay.
is the ruling part and the
Okay,
opposition.
Mr. Meka, I put out that post. It came 8 hours ago by the President of India. She says, "I was dismayed to see the manner in which our respected Vice President was humiliated in the Parliament complex. Elected representatives must be free to express themselves, but their expression should be within the norms of dignity and courtesy. That has been the parliamentary tradition we are proud of, and the people of India expect them to uphold it." It's very rare that such presidential interventions take place. Very rare. What do you make of it?
See, I agree with Amitabh, who spoke just before me. But since you mentioned about Honorable President's tweet intervention, which is a very good intervention, which is required. Okay. But I have a question. Being a citizen of this country, I asked the Honorable President, what was the President's office doing when Ramesh Biduri was lashing out his tongue? Wasn't the honorable traditions not remembered then? What kind of a democracy are we living in? First, understand the pattern. Now, there is an entire opposition is thrown out. This is opposition Mukta parliament. To divert this mimicry thing is come up. Now, when Rahul Gandhi speaks about some important issue, they will come up with something like some stupid thing, imaginary thing like a flying kiss. This has been happening as a pattern. I think people need to understand. Second, see, in the overall scenario, first, you will ridicule and delegitimize intellectuals.
Do you think, Mr. Meka, it's because of the fact that BJP has swept the elections and the electoral victory? And if, we journalists think from the perspective that, this is not fair. But from the point of view of a politician, I think the electoral victory has been absorbed, that this is the time we can really push our political opponents. For me as a journalist, the word is opposition. But for BJP, these are political opponents. And it's time they can set the tone for Lok Sabha. Isn't that boiling down to this? Simple as that. Everything, every part of whether it's executive or legislature, is in the motion. Pure politics. Nothing else. Pure politics.
I'm coming there. I'm coming there. First, you delegitimize intellectuals. You call them buddhijeevis. You delegitimize any protest or raising of democratic voices. You call it Andolan Jeevi. Then you call for Congress Mukta Bharat. Then you make an opposition Mukta parliament. Then you plant the idea in the minds of the people that election is a nuisance and start a debate with this aim of planting this idea that election is a nuisance. You start talking about one nation, one election. Why elections again and again? This is a larger conspiracy of delegitimizing democracy in India. What they are driving at is right now, yes, for the sake of it, let's have elections. But the elections are being held to elect a Raja. That's about it. Raja is not not through the family, as used to be in the case of real Rajas. Now they want to just show a charade of democracy and have a Raja. And once the Raja is elected, everybody shut up, Parliament
But Mr.
shut up.
Meka, you know, I think there are two sides
Andolan
of
ji,
this.
shut up.
See, I do not disagree.
That's what is
I do not disagree with the fact that the politics of delegitimization erodes democratic norms. But Bhanu, there is also another thing. You know, I do not want to have this conversation from the perspective of the so-called right and wrongs of a newsroom. I think the conversation should happen from the way politicians or the participants see it. Do you think that the BJP has been successful in portraying the opposition as not disciplined, as impatient? Ultimately, it's boiling down to that, Bhanu, you know.
Absolutely, you are right, Karthikeya. See, if you are playing against Djokovic, Djokovic can make a mistake, but you cannot make a mistake. And the Congress is playing against the best politicians India has ever had, and they absolutely latched on to this opportunity. Of course, it is undignified for a member of parliament to mimic the vice president the way he did. But let's not forget that there is heavy politics involved. In fact, I would actually see this as an extension of what happened in Rajasthan. See, in Rajasthan, the Jat community had around they won about 30 seats, but they did not get any representation in the leadership so far. So they were actually, the BJP was looking for an opportunity to woo the Jats, and also, like, if you look at the politics of Haryana, even there is some sort of a churning. So right now the Congress just played into its hands. Dhankhar is widely respected in Haryana, in Rajasthan, and also in Western UP. And I think BJP was quick to latch on to this opportunity.
Bhanu, are you saying, Bhanu, are you saying, this? I'll come back to this because it's time for a short break. But this was something which I asked, Mr. Javadekar also. क्या किसान आंदोलन का तोड़ ढूंढ लिया है, for the vice president and the chairman to assert his community, it doesn't remain in the house. Obviously, it will go outside the house and it will have a ramification. But we'll have this debate, and Bhanu, I'll open it with you, but after a short break.
Jyotiraditya Scindia is also facing a litmus test.
There have been corruption charges against all the chief ministers or towering leaders who were rich, but this is not the case with India. So the point is that in modern times, when the society is looking up to good leaders, Jyotiraditya Scindia could be one of them.
As far as Jyotiraditya Scindia is concerned, even if the BJP loses, Jyotiraditya Scindia will be around for at least another 2 decades. He is young and he has the ability to come back.
This and more streaming now on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Pakistani spy agency ISI's sinister plan to target India. Training women to honey trap top civil and military officials. Counter honey trapping ops initiated by India. But gullible victims still caught in the web. Top military intelligence experts break down the web of deception. Colonel Hani Bakshi explains the phenomena of honey trap.
जहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा, उनको लगेगा कि there is a person who is susceptible to women, who is making a lot of women friends on the social media. That is where they will make a spoof account and then start luring the person.
Colonel Pavitran Rajan decodes the psyche of the victim and the predator.
But when you go up the chain, no one enforces it to people at the top. That disciplinary regime and the security regime is not enforced at the top. And they usually have a public profile where it is much more easier to approach that person.
A News9 special on how modern technology has added teeth to the ancient spying tactic.
Our story takes you inside Pakistan's honey trap machine.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है Money9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
So the whole point of the debate is, has this mimicry row turned into a larger political battle? Bhanu, the charge is that it has turned into a larger political battle. Me, as a journalist, there are proprieties of the constitutional positions and they are beyond debate. But the opposition sees it from a different perspective. Their argument is, how come the person on the chair is talking about his community?
No, I don't think the vice president spoke about his community. The thing is, he is holding a constitutional position, but everything is politics. Okay? For example, like we have a tribal president, which is amazing for us as Indians, as a Hindu community, that somebody from the lowest of low can actually rise up to the level of the president. But it is still politics, right? We have a tribal president, which is politics. So you can't separate everything. So Congress has to be mindful of the fact that there is politics in everything, and they can't relax and play, they can't slack and play silly politics. That's exactly the lesson that they have to learn. As far as the suspension of MPs, there are only a couple of more days to go. Both the sides are playing the game of chicken. The opposition is bringing placards, which is not allowing the rules, not only here, in many other countries, including UK, US and Australia. So they are saying, like, we will see how far we can go, and the BJP is responding,
But
saying
Bhanu,
that we will also
many would say it's result of political arrogance. You have swept the polls, so it's like, I don't care, it doesn't make any difference. We know that we are like very well placed electorally. So let's teach them a lesson.
Can they do anything and they not get suspended? So I think rules have to be followed, Karthikeyan. Let's be very clear. We are not like a bacha democracy anymore. We are a mature democracy, and people have to respect the rules. And it is true in other countries as well, like I was saying. But all said and done, the opposition now has a point to outrage and make an emotional issue after the rubbing they got in the election. So I think they made their point as well. But I don't think this is going to continue beyond this. And come the budget session of Parliament, I think they are going to be back in the Parliament and well behaved, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how much time. Actually, if you look at it, there is no time, Bhanu, because if you look at the life cycle, Thursday is the last day, Friday is the day when the Parliament gets adjourned at 12 or 1 p.m. Entirely depends on the mood of the seat and the request of the members. But Amitabh, this gets me to a larger point. These acrimonious movements have taken place in context of a breach that took place. So, opposition has been saying that if two premium dignitaries can address this issue outside the Parliament in a TV interview and in some other context, then how come these issues cannot be addressed in the Parliament? Though the BJP leaders say that, well, if we would have tried doing so, they wouldn't have let us speak, they would have disrupted it. So what do?
So in this entire debate of suspensions and mimicry, what we've forgotten is that a significant incident and a breach of security has taken place inside the Parliament, which is the temple of democracy, and that needs some answers. And an inquiry has been instituted. So when I was on a debate on some other channel yesterday, the BJP spokesperson said that even during the terrorist attack in 2001, LK Advani spoke after 10 days. Correct. So I think already we are a week has passed almost since the breach has taken place, and that needs to be addressed, and the people of India do deserve answers as to what were the lacunae.
I covered that attack, covered that attack. I was there, right, the gate number 1, the Vijay Chowk. there is a difference. This is a breach and there is an activism involved. That was a terror attack and they wanted to get inside the parliament, take them hostages, kill them. There's a difference. Here it reflects, you can say, incompetence, problem of procedure, lack of security detailing. That was a conspiracy hatched in a different country to attack our temple of democracy. There is a difference.
See, there is a difference that there were terrorists involved and these are not terrorists, perhaps, correct. But you have as in the government has...
so in your opinion, is government shying away from giving answer? Do you feel so?
I think, see, if it is a sensitive matter and the government wants to make a statement only after the inquiry reaches a certain level, then both the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, when the Parliament is going on, should not have talked about this in the press. This is my opinion on this point.
Mr. Baker, do you agree that if that line would have kept intact, probably this wouldn't have happened?
See, I will tell you. See, first thing is it's a major breach of security. Okay, we are investigating it. That's it. As Amitabh was saying, when the House is in session, and everybody is asking for the Home Minister to make a statement, why these people went ahead and did speak to the press? What is the need for it? By blatantly ignoring the traditions of Parliament. Why did they do it? Because I'm telling you, right? So there is a conspiracy that is going on to undermine all the established procedures and the democracy as we have known it. And another point is the terrorist attack and this attack. Okay, there's no difference. Okay, as far as we are concerned, this could have been a terror attack. What are we doing, right? And these questions should be asked. When these questions are asked, look at the mainstream media. They speak about, now politics full on over Parliament security breach. What do you mean politics full on? As if it is some bad thing. Politics need to happen, right? See, this is the mindset that is being carefully cultivated in this country to undermine. People are being brainwashed and hoodwinked into believing that they just need to elect a Raja, then everything else
Let me be the devil's advocate here. That this question is for Bhanu. I think the tough questions are going to Bhanu. Bhanu, if you recall, during Lokpal, both Sushma ji and Arun Jaitley defended the right to protest. And they argue that it is part of a democratic tradition. So in this case, how come the protest is getting the worst from the system that, you are outside Parliament? Why?
See, the thing is, inside Parliament, they can definitely argue, they can make their point, okay? But do you think like rushing in the well and throwing placards will solve any problem, Kartikeya? So the thing is, like, those remarks will be expunged. The Lok Sabha TV or Rajya Sabha TV is going to be switched off. You make no point, but you just disrupt the goings on of the Parliament. And see, protest outside, definitely freedom of expression is there, and I think we can do it outside. But like within the Parliament, there are certain rules. Otherwise, like Parliament can't function, right? That's where the problem is. So there is, the Congress also knows it. It's not that there are veteran parliamentarians there; they know it. But they are using, and this Shashi Tharoor actually said that this was the first time I was a class topper, what a good, well-behaved student, etc., etc. I'm moving to the well for the first time, etc. So I think this means that they actually want to create this sensationalism and outrage, and that's why they are doing it, right? So I think we need to look at the meanness, and also we need to look at the politics behind it. So I don't think there is some amount of innocence and genuine protest being curtailed. So let's be very clear about it.
Okay, but then there is a point of the opposition also. If you look at the position taken by the government, it is as if it is on the opposition for the conversation to take place. Parliamentary conventions and traditions are that the Parliamentary Affairs Minister kicks into action. The whole messaging is that you are irresponsible, now you have to make amends, ensure that you deserve the right to come back to the House. getting elected is not important. The conduct is important. You have failed in the conduct. But you know, this is like an unsaid thing. No one has gone out and said this. But if you look at the narrative, if you look at the big picture in terms of quote messages, then this is very apparent, Banu.
Right. So the thing is, see, the opposition has to come up with new strategies. Okay, they cannot go with old strategies of rushing into the well, etc., etc. It's not going to work. They have to find out something. See, the breach of parliament security is a very, very important issue. People of India need to know what happened, and I think that they are right to ask the questions, but they shot themselves in their foot. Right now, like we are talking about something else. So I think I would say that they have not been clever enough and been a responsible opposition. I would say they should have nailed it within the parliament. They have to work within the rules. Right, they cannot just rush into the well and slow pakad. They actually shot themselves in the foot, I would say.
But Amit, you can also take that question, Amitabh. It could have been dealt in a different way also. Ultimately, chair has an absolute power. The chair has an absolute power in the Indian system. The chair could have said that bad mimicry, boss. You don't do you don't do your job well inside the parliament, and even outside the parliament, you are a bad mimic. The things would have been on a different plane altogether. But then, that was not the case, Amitabh. Banu, you can also, pitch in if you differ from me.
The humor is missing, and we've seen parliamentary proceedings earlier when stalwarts used to use this humor as a way to break ice between the ruling and the opposition parties. And so the lack of orators, the lack of tall leaders also, I would say, because BJP largely dependent upon 3 to 5 leaders, and so is Congress. So the lack of tall leadership across parties is who are not aware of the parliamentary traditions, conventions, and how to make adjustments to run the parliament smoothly. That is also perhaps reflecting, because as we discussed a few days ago, with due respect, Mr. Dhankhar is just a 1.5-year-old parliamentarian, and Mr. Om Birla is just 5-year. It's just his second term, correct? And we've seen stalwarts in this position. What we are lacking as a country is that we are not using the wisdom, the knowledge, experience of our ex-constitutional persons like presidents, vice presidents, speakers, to hold trainings, to handhold these people. I mean, if you are a speaker, you will speak to the ex-speakers also if such a situation comes to the fore, correct? So are these people doing it? So it's a proper lack of communication.
You made a point which made me recall a story. I think it was when Hamid Ansari was being pitched in by Congress. There's a difference in intensity. So when Hamid Ansari became the vice president, a lot of people said, boss, you got a school teacher as the chair. He's just reprimanding MPs for a lot of things, and people compared him with Bharat Singh Shekhawat and said, Bharat Singh Shekhawat would use humor. Now, Mr. Dhankhar at this level is on a different plane altogether. But I understand the point, Amitabh, you're making. You have people who come from a very diverse background, and they are there, but then House is a different body altogether. The Rajya Sabha is a different beast altogether. It's different from Lok Sabha.
And the vice president reports to the president. So if the president is putting out a tweet which is justified, she can also speak to the vice president that he has to. I mean, it is his responsibility also. It does not reflect well on him if the House is continuously adjourned and there are so many suspensions. 20% of the House is literally today suspended, and we are on a sort of a mission 150. We are currently at 143, I guess.
I don't know who's at the mission 150, but the BJP definitely has a mission 350, and it looks pretty achievable for them also in this Lok Sabha. Going by the way, the Congress was routed in North India. Mr. Meka?
Karthikeya, another point is we need to understand in the larger picture, crassness is being normalized for the last 10 years, and meanness is mainstream. I can give you bunch of examples, but let it suffice for the viewers to understand and to apply their own mind how meanness is for the last decade or so in this country. Our entire discourse, and we are actually celebrating. If somebody buys the MLAs and moves quickly to them to a resort and steals a government, today the country is talking about, they have shown the hunger for power. as if it is some great virtue. Where are we going? That's what is the main damage done by this regime to this country.
Why do you use the word regime, Mr. Meka? It's a democratically elected government. Regimes anthropologically, sociologically are used for systems which are not democratically elected. We have to give it to them.
I am very responsibly and very carefully considered and used the word. It's not just a slip of a tongue. This is a word that I am using for this regime.
Bhanu, ultimately, opposition can, cry till Adams come. But the fact of the matter is that till now, they have not been able to create that sympathy. They should have got far more sympathy, Bhanu. Let's do the real brass tacks. They should have got far more sympathy. Even the last year, in Rajiv Gandhi's tenure, the entire opposition boycotted Rajiv Gandhi. 400 MP plus government got paralyzed. Because those 100 MPs who chose not to go to Lok Sabha, they had this sympathy. And me as a journalist, I realized that somehow BJP has figured out that right now they don't have the sympathy. So, let's train the gun. Is it really boiling down to the Lok Sabha elections, of which the parliamentary procedure has become a casualty, because you are never on the same page before the battle.
It's a great point, Karthikeya. I think if you just move above and look at the big picture, the political picture. Right now, you would say that in all the drama that happened before us in the parliament, the Congress perhaps lost its plot, right? So what would it do different if a similar incident happens or a different sort of a debate happens next time? Do they have a specific strategy? And also, why doesn't it actually get the sympathy from the people? For example, if they had grassroots power, if they have political power, maybe there will be some dharnas, there will be some protests somewhere in the constituency where the Congress is strong. So that is not happening, right? So in the media too, they are portraying the same outrage, and I think people are also tired of this, right? People are also tired of it. They want solutions. Now it seems as if the Congress is creating more problems. Right, so I think the whole perception management, the way they conduct the parliament, everything needs a rethink if they really want to go anywhere.
And more than that, Amitabh, because ultimately the victory to political position has one very important element. That is one, great sympathy, and people having a sense of sympathy also arising from the fact that the guy has been a victim. If you look at certain legal issues of which the Congress was plagued, for example, Rahul Gandhi, or for example, his case, and even this victimhood and sympathy is not coming around the opposition. Why? Why has that happened? It's not as if that BJP has not been tough on them. I would say the government has been unreasonably tough with the opposition, but they're still unable to gather that sympathy in the larger public narrative. So, it is a question, because ultimately you are in politics. So, it has to resonate there somewhere with the people. Why is not that particular victimhood and sympathy thing not working?
It is perhaps because of faulty strategies, as Bhanu is saying. The strategies of the Congress party is not coherent. You've taken the example of Rahul Gandhi. When the party started to gain sympathy for Rahul Gandhi's suspension, what happened was that the BJP turned it around, that the party normally is just talking about one individual and is trying to protect the Gandhi family from it. Correct. So what happens is it's a chess game. So you have made a move to garner sympathy. Now BJP has made a move. So you need to make a counter move. That's what happened in Madhya Pradesh. You announced 1,500 rupees for women. BJP said we'll give 1,250 rupees to women. They started giving, but then you could not make any counter move for the past 6 months. It's a very dynamic game. I mean, strategy is not...
I completely agree with you, because bottom line is sympathy. When Bharat Jodo Yatra took place, the Congress had sympathy. They were able to gain sympathy, but they frittered it away. But the larger question here in the parliament remains that, one, the issue of propriety, is it being utilized for a political campaign by the treasury benches, the mimicry law? And the second thing, more than 100 MPs out, is it really correct in a democracy to keep so many opposition MPs out? when the discussion takes place? Can every decision be rested on the shoulders of the opposition and becomes their responsibility? These are larger constitutional issues. These are the issues of propriety, these are the issues of conduct, and these are the issues of democracy, and they should not be taken lightly, because ultimately the epicenter of the whole Indian system is the Indian Parliament. That's where the law is made, that's where the conducts are framed, that's where the bigger, larger political narratives are built. So thank you all of you for joining my show, and for my viewers, I leave you with a couple of bites of Indian parliamentarians responding to this entire row.
जो मिमिक्राई यहाँ पर हो गई आउटसाइड, ये सबने देखा होगा, ये आपको भी मालूम। जो घटना सदन के बाहर हो गई, आउटसाइड द हाउस, तो उसके बारे में सदन में एक रेजोल्यूशन पास करना, कंडेम करना, ये कहाँ का है? और वो भी ठहरे पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर ठहरते हैं और 100-150 राज्यसभा के मेंबर उनके पीछे ठहरते हैं, वहाँ स्टेटमेंट करते हैं, और हाउस के अंदर हमारे चेयरमैन साहब उनको भी परमिशन देते हैं, और हम सच्चाई बोलने के लिए हमको परमिशन नहीं मिल रहा है। अपमानित नहीं करना चाहते हैं, करने का हमारा इरादा भी नहीं, वो हमारे कैरेक्टर में भी नहीं है, लेकिन उन्होंने ये जो अपनाया है तरीका बीजेपी ने। और दूसरी बात, लोकसभा में जो हमारे नेता थे पार्टी के, हम जो घटनाएं घटी है यहाँ पर उस पर बोलना चाहते थे, लेकिन हमसे भी पहले चेयरमैन साहब ने अपनी बात रखने की कोशिश की, यहाँ तक कि उन्होंने कहा कि मेरा जो अपमान हुआ है वो मेरे जाति और मेरे किसानों का अपमान हुआ। अरे चेयरमैन दूसरों को प्रोटेक्शन देना चाहिए। अगर चेयरमैन साहब ही ऐसा बोले तो मैं एक अपोजिशन लीडर होके ऐसे मैं ये कहूँ कि मुझे राज्यसभा में बोलने नहीं दिया क्योंकि मैं एक दलित लीडर हूँ। ऐसी जात पात की बात अंदर करके लोगों को बाहर भड़काने का काम कोई नहीं करना चाहिए।
यही कांग्रेस की शुरू से खूबी रही कि बांटने का काम करना जाति धर्म संप्रदाय के नाम पर, और जब जब मौका मिला हर बार उनको अवसर मिला। आखिरकार सदन तो चर्चा के लिए ही है, सदन में चर्चा क्यों नहीं विपक्ष होने दे रहा? क्यों प्ले कार्ड लेके तख्तियां लेके वेल में कूद पड़ते हैं, और खड़गे जी क्यों नहीं उस समय रोकते हैं? क्यों नहीं चर्चा करते हैं? इशारे सारे सदन में देखे जाते हैं, कौन किसको इशारे कर रहा है? वेल में कूदने के लिए, हंगामा खड़े करने के लिए, तख्तियां लाने के लिए, और ये हंगामे करने वाले कोई और नहीं, ये कांग्रेस पार्टी और इनके नेता हैं। इसका जवाब भी खड़गे जी को देना पड़ेगा कि क्या राहुल गांधी जी ने जो उपराष्ट्रपति का अपमान किया है, क्या वो स्वीकार है? ये बड़ा सवाल खड़ा होता है।
75 साल में जो इस देश में नहीं हुआ वो हो रहा है। देश की संसद में मोदी सरकार द्वारा संविधान को बुलडोजर से कुचला जा रहा है, संसदीय परंपराओं को रोंदा जा रहा है, प्रजातंत्र और विपक्ष की बोलने की आवाज को दबाया जा रहा है। देश के इतिहास में पहली बार 75 वर्षों में 141 सांसदों को मोदी सरकार ने प्रस्ताव लाकर निष्कासित कर दिया। पहली बार 75 वर्ष में विपक्ष मुक्त संसद बना दी गई है, वो लोकसभा हो या राज्यसभा हो। क्या देश का संविधान बच पाएगा? क्या देश का प्रजातंत्र बच पाएगा? क्या देश में संसदीय परंपराएं बच पाएंगी? ये सवाल है जो बड़े से बड़े पद पर बैठे लोगों को, पूरी सरकार को, देश के प्रधानमंत्री को, लोकसभा और राज्यसभा के सभापति महोदय को खुद से पूछना पड़ेगा कि विपक्ष अगर होगा ही नहीं, अगर विपक्ष को सरकार निष्कासित कर देगी प्रस्ताव लाकर, तो संसद चलेगी कैसे और संसद के क्या मायने बच पाएंगे?
Now, what we have seen in the country in the last few days is a travesty of parliamentary democracy. In fact, I did a bit of research. Never in the entire history of parliamentary democracy has any parliament in any country in the world ever suspended or expelled 150 people. That is the dubious record that has been set in our parliament this week. Everyone understands a basic principle of parliamentary democracy is the accountability of the Council of Ministers to the Parliament. When Parliament is in session, anything that happens, the government's duty is to come to Parliament and discuss it with them before going out. When the opposition called for a discussion on the security breach and requested that the Home Minister should come and speak to Parliament, as you all know, the Home Minister did not come. He was giving statements outside to the media, he was giving press interviews, but he was not prepared to speak inside Parliament. This is why the opposition protested. And I must say that the reaction has been completely disproportionate to the actual offence of protesting. The protest was for a very democratic parliamentary reason, which is to have the Home Minister come and initiate a discussion. The opposition had come to this winter session determined to cooperate fully in the functioning of Parliament. That's how the session began also. We wanted to participate in major debates on matters of national importance. But what we have seen, sadly, is the government has no interest in letting the opposition function responsibly in Parliament.
वर्ष 2070 तक भारत नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करेगा।
There's certain